This Grail is finally back in my collection, and it's even better than before. Let's talk about it. Yo, this is Ben from Release Expert. Today, we have a review of the Kobe 6 Protro in this Grinch colorway. Now, this is probably the most famous Kobe that was ever created. I feel like everyone and their mother knows of this shoe because of the loud color, which is inspired by the Grinch. And this colorway actually first debuted in 2010 on Christmas Day when Kobe played LeBron in the Heat. And these shoes were definitely the star of the show that night. Now with this shoe, as I mentioned, this is a Protro and not just your normal retro. So if you don't know already, a Protro is actually a performance retro. So when Kobe retired in 2016, he wanted to re-release his shoes, but not just re-release them with the same old tech. He wanted to make improvements to the shoe while keeping the design and colors the same. So fans can get that nostalgia of owning the older Kobes, but also have modern innovations that Nike has to offer. So what can you expect when you purchase this shoe? So let's take a look inside the box. We just have a very standard black Nike box with the Kobe logo on front and a signature below. When you open up the box, we actually get a pair of spare crimson laces. So not to be confused with red, this is kind of a shade of red in between red and orange called crimson. And when Kobe played in these shoes on Christmas Day, he actually had these laces on with the Grinches. So with the 2010 release of the shoe, it actually came in a different box. So the original Kobe 6 box comes with this snake scale print all over. Now they just elected to go with the ordinary black box, but the construction is a little more sturdy. Moving on to our first category, with the materials of the shoe, we have this snake scale pattern on top that's actually made from polyurethane to give this glossy, lightweight, and durable upper. Below this layer is a flywire setup, and what flywire is it's a series of wires that are connected from the midsole onto each lace hole. And so whenever you tighten the shoe, it tightens the entire upper opposed to just this mid region of the shoe. With a heel cup, we just have a standard plastic heel cup, nothing too special here. And with this tongue, we have this nylon feeling tongue with these perforations throughout for that breathability. And with the materials, there's nothing really Protro about this. It's the same exact materials that we got in the original release of this shoe. So the Protro features of the shoe are actually found in the technology. So the first being this midsole. This midsole went from a Phylon industry standard foam to now Nike's Cushlon foam that's actually a lot softer and is actually found in a lot of Nike's performance models. And within this Cushlon setup, we have new Zoom bags. So in the past, or in the original release of the shoe, we had a heel unit as well as a small circular forefoot unit. And now what Nike did was they got rid of the heel unit and they just went with this large Air Zoom turbo unit, which is commonly found in the newer Kyries, KDs, and the Kobe 5 Protro. In my opinion, I think Nike made the right decision in just removing this heel unit because I always felt like Kobe's were more guard-oriented shoes for smaller, quicker players, and that heel unit isn't necessarily made for quicker, small players. And so I've always admired having a larger forefoot unit opposed to having any heel unit. So what actually hasn't changed in the shoe is actually this carbon fiber plate found on the midfoot of the sole. This is the same as the original release of the shoe. And within the shoe, the insole actually also hasn't changed. So with these insoles, what we have here is a sculpted dual density soft liner insole that's actually pretty thick and stiff. The purpose of this insole is that it's actually supposed to mold to your foot shape and actually be more comfortable in the long run. So on this insole, it actually says, I want a shoe that molds to your foot, and it did exactly that. So when I had the original release of this shoe in 2010, I actually broke one of these insoles in. It actually took a while, I would say at least a month, for this to actually break in. So with this release, I'm actually not going to do that. I am actually going to replace the insoles with something that I already have, which are these. These are React insoles out of my Adapt BB Next, I believe. These are insoles that are just made out of React, and it gives you that broken in feeling right from the jump. With this traction, to keep consistent with that Mamba theme, we have this snake scale pattern that actually looks pretty similar to the original release of this shoe. Nike does claim that this was part of the Protro initiative and they revamped this sole. So what it seems like from the naked eye is that this forefoot, being this translucent compound, is actually a lot brighter than the original. And this sole, being this solid green compound, actually seems like it's recycled material opposed to just it being a solid material. So I'll give you guys a close-up, and it does seem like there are little speckles of black and white, kind of giving it that space hippie recycled midsole look. So I would imagine that this is a revamped, recycled part of the sole, and I'm all for it if it's part of Nike's initiative to be more eco-friendly. As for the durability, as I said, it doesn't look too different, but I would imagine that Nike made the traction patterns a little thicker for added durability. And when I had the shoes initially in 2010, the traction held up pretty well, and I would imagine these to do the same, if not better. That's about it for the traction. With the price, this shoe actually retailed for $130 back in 2010 when these initially released. Now, 10 years have gone by and Nike has Protro'd this model, so now they're charging $180. I know that's a bit pricey, but at this point, we don't really have a choice in how much we could pay for these sneakers. All Kobe's since his passing have actually been selling out, and so the consumers are left with paying that high price, and Nike knows that they'll sell out regardless. And before we even talk about that resale price, rumor has it that Nike actually produced 500 to 600,000 pairs of these. And to put it in perspective, Nike/Jordan brand typically releases about 500,000 to 1 million pairs of their holiday Jordan 11 release. And so for 500,000, that's quite a lot in Nike standards. And so given that they released that many pairs, this shoe still sold out instantly. Everywhere. They even did an early drop of these sneakers, and even at that point, the resale was still pretty high. So as for resale, depending on the size you're trying to get, it seems like the smaller sizes are actually selling for a lot less than the bigger sizes. So this size 8.5 is hovering around that high 3, low 400 range, whereas like say a size 12 is going for near 500. So with this shoe, I do think that the resale will only increase from here. So considering that Kobe's are selling out at retail and there's a huge demand of these Kobe's since he's passing on the secondary market, I could foresee people that aren't able to get their hands on Kobe's go for the most popular Kobe here. They're willing to fork up that extra money to have this colorway, and especially with stimulus checks rolling around the corner in the US, I can see people kind of splurging on this one pair of Kobe's to commemorate his legacy. So I would say this is the best time to purchase the Kobe's that you want. And I don't foresee Nike retroing or protroing this shoe for another 8 to 10 years. So if you want it, I think this is the best time to get it. If you want a brand new pair, this might be the best time to pull the trigger. So final thoughts. This shoe is one of my favorites. It's definitely in the list of top 5 Kobe's for me personally, and it's probably the most iconic Kobe out there. Even the most notorious Kobe haters respect this model. This shoe was worn by Kobe on court, so it has a lot more meaning than a lot of Jordan retros that come out. I personally made a mistake of selling my original pair of Grinches, and I actually sold that shoe 2 months before its passing, and ever since then I've regretted it. So I'm so happy that Nike reproduced this shoe in its Protro form. And with that said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I greatly appreciate all my new subscribers. Thank you so much, and until next time, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.